Hey everyone, welcome to a new video, welcome to my channel. My name is Maaike. Today we are not going to be doing a wrap-up, as the title might suggest, because did I finish NK Jemisin's the 5th season? Of course I didn't. I am still in the midst of a massive reading slump, and I thought I could make this video today to sort of tell you why this is happening. And a lot of that is tied with what is going on in the world today. We are still in the midst of a lockdown with a curfew on top of it here in the Netherlands where I live, and it's definitely it's been affecting my mood, you could say. I definitely had a bit of an off week last week, which is why I didn't really get around to reading any of this, because at the end of the day, the things that are described in this book are pretty dark and bleak, and at this moment everything that's going on is also quite bleak, you could say. So and then it combined with January, which is never my favorite month of the year to begin with, because it's so dark and dreary and dreadful. It just didn't come together for me. So that's why this book has not achieved the goal that I was hoping it would achieve, which is take me out of my slump and get back to reading. And that's why I wanted to make this video today, to tell you a little bit about why I think I have been reading less in the past few months, and why I think that will not really go away until life gets back to normal as much as possible. And part of that has to do with the fact that due to all of the working from home I have to do, so many moments in my day that usually anchor certain moments where things will happen have just disappeared. Like, there's no dance classes, there's no parties, there's nothing, no concerts, whatever. And it's not just the fact that that's what things I do with other people, like, don't be worried about me that I'm like lonely over here and like sulking in a corner. That's not what's going on at all. But it's just that I find that those kind of things give me other things to do than work. And right now, my life is work. That's all it is. And I'm not enjoying it very much. Not that I don't enjoy my job, that's not what I'm saying. I just, I'm the kind of person who doesn't, work isn't the only thing I do in life. I like to do other things besides it. That's why I make these kind of videos and all that kind of stuff. So for me to have all of the fun stuff sort of taken away, it has not been great. Plus, what I, for instance, do very often to tie it in with reading is that I very often will read after I work out, because when I've worked out, I've been to the gym, I'm super hyped up, and I need something to bring me down so I can go to sleep afterwards, because I usually work out at night, and that's usually like an hour or two in the week, twice a week, so 4 hours in the week that I would read. That's like designated reading time, and it's gone. So for me, the way everything has been going ever since summer break is just the fact that I find it very difficult to structure my days and my weeks, because everything just starts to merge into one thing. And yes, I do all the things that people recommend you should do for working from home, which is to get dressed and do your makeup and have a routine like you normally would. I do all of that. I take a designated lunch break. I try to go for walks. I try to go to the store. I talk to friends online or in real life or on the phone. I have all of my little moments in the week. I definitely do. But then when it comes to reading, I just don't really there are so many other things that I can do other than read for some reason. And I have found that where I usually read for escapism and all that at the moment it's just not really interesting to me to dive into a completely different world, because my life already feels super different from what it is. And I think it's also just the fact that things are starting to drag on a little bit for me. I've been working from home since March. Not much has changed, even though I did change jobs. I mean, it's just by now I'm sort of I'm just kind of done with it, and I want to sort of pick up the pace. And I know that once I'll be able to do that things like reading will happen again. It's just that right now, at this moment, I can go an entire weekend without thinking of even picking up a book, because I'm in the midst of watching whatever Netflix series I'm watching, or I'm watching tons of eyeshadow palette collection videos on YouTube, that's for sure. But yeah, there have just been so many days where I'm like, nah, don't feel like it. And then combined with this book just being so dark and dreary in its outset with these climate change events that just disrupt the world and completely wipe out civilizations. Like, that's pretty much what's happening. And there's some really dark other themes going on in this story. And at the moment, the way I'm feeling, which don't worry about me, there's nothing wrong, but it's just not contributing to my happiness at the moment. So maybe if I pick up a different book, so that's what I definitely want to do this month. I think I'm just going to select a different book to read and just leave this for the moment so that when the mood strikes me, I can pick it up. Like, the story isn't that complicated that I wouldn't know anymore who these characters are a few weeks or months down the line. I think I will definitely go back to this in 2021, but at the moment I'm like, no. And another reason why I haven't finished another book, because I was going to listen to an audiobook, is that I usually listen to audiobooks in my morning routine before I head out to work. But what I very often do right now is that I get up, I answer some emails, I sort of already get started, and then when my first meeting or class starts, that's when I go get ready. But then my day has already started, so I'm sort of like everything is all over the place. So the routine I had where I could listen to an audiobook has just been completely upended, you could say. So for me, also listening to audiobooks is currently not something I'm doing because I'm just not traveling anywhere. That's usually when I listen to audiobooks as well. So for me, at the moment, reading just doesn't fit into my life for whatever reason. Like I said, I hope to select a different book that hopefully isn't as dark and dreary and dreadful and as this is, because I'm just not feeling it. And even though it's well written, there's nothing wrong with the story at all. In that sense, I just think that this is not the book I would recommend anybody read in the middle of a pandemic. I don't think you should. At least for me, it's not working out. So I am going to be keeping this on my table so that if the mood strikes me, I can go back to it, but I will definitely be selecting a different book to read this month, and I will do a reading vlog on that. So by the time that you will see a reading vlog, I will have picked another book to read, because I am going to try and keep reading. It's just, I remember in December, of course, I read Midnight Sun, which is not the best book ever, but it just took me back to those Twilight days, and Twilight helped me to rediscover reading for enjoyment. So for me, that just has lots of positive connotations. And the same thing with the Cormoran Strike novel that I read by Robin Galbraith, aka J.K. Rowling. Like, that's a series that's been going on for a while, and it's just, it's like, the characters, how things are going to run down, and just the stories in there, even though also like in the Cormoran Strike novel, there were like dark and dreary things, like that was about a serial killer, so that was unpleasant. But I don't know, I think that's just, with this book, I have nothing to latch onto, whereas with the other stuff that I read and that I raced through at the end of December, that really sort of brought me back into the pace. This is just not the book to be reading for me right now. So I think what I should do, if I want to read anything, is to read a book in a series that I know and love. Something like the next book in the Dresden Files that I haven't read yet. Genevieve Cogman's The Invisible Library is usually a series that has a book coming out every December. So I just picked up the new one last December. I think I still need to read 1 or 2 books in that. So things like that, I think, are going to be much more successful for me than trying to read something new and that then also happens to be like one of the darkest, bleakest worlds in terms of fantasy that you could potentially be in. Because this society is, wow. If you've read Handmaid's Tale and thought that was bleak and dystopian, this one is giving it a run for its money. Because apart from this like being fantasy, it definitely has this very sort of like dystopian kind of feel to it, and the way the society is structured with like who is in, who is out, and all that sort of stuff. I think that's one of the reasons why I'm like not loving this world at the moment for what I'm going for. I'm not sure if I'm making a lot of sense. So yeah, my reading has just been very non-existent. I think I'm just going to read stuff that is very much within my comfort zone, that feels like a warm hug. That's what I'm gonna go for, and I think I'm going to stay away from reading things that are too new. This may actually be a good moment in time to reread Harry Potter again. Just thinking out loud here, because usually that's what I used to do whenever like exam time came around and I knew I had to be grading like 500,000 papers in like 5 weeks. I would always read Harry Potter again. That was like, I go back to Harry Potter in moments where I just need that sort of thing, so maybe I should do that. Let me know in a comment down below what you would do in my situation. I would love to know. What would you do to find yourself books to read that you just know you're gonna love? What's your trick? Because I thought I was hoping to love this, and I do like the writing and the story and everything that's going on in it. It has all the elements that I normally really like, but there's just some sort of disconnect here. So yeah, I'm going to have to give myself some ideas to think of for sure, and then hopefully I can have a better update for you at the end of February where I have actually read something. But yeah, that's hopefully what I can do next, because I know that if I really enjoy a book, I make time for it, and this is just not one where I go like, ooh, I've got a spare hour, let's read a bunch. It's not been the book for me to do that. So that's why I'm just going to park it for now. I'm not DNFing this for sure. I'm sort of like putting it aside to go back to at a later moment in time, and I'm going to make sure that I read something that I know I love. For instance, that Dresden Files thing, and also Genevieve Cogman's The Invisible Library. Those books I always enjoy. They're not too complicated and they're very enjoyable to read. So I think I want to just reward myself in that way. So let's hope we can get some more reading done this month. I will definitely update you on this a little bit in my reading vlog, which is coming to you in a few weeks' time. And next week you will see what happened here, because you may see that the shelves look a little differently, and that's because I reorganized my bookshelves. So that's coming your way very, very soon. I've been sitting on this footage for weeks, and I'm finally going to schedule it for next week. So I hope to see you then. One video a week over on this channel, and for now I would like to thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.